Okay, as most of the people have joined, so I would like to welcome all you to the second session or international panel of the ECOPRISE project. Today we have a topic, Designing Tomorrow, Innovation, Sustainability and Circularity, and we will have 3 presenters, and afterwards we will have a discussion. So hopefully this international panel will be interest of you. And I will begin with agenda of today. So I will briefly introduce you what's waiting for you in the upcoming hours. Just before, I would like to briefly present the partnership. So as you are attending the second international panel, you are probably familiar with the organizations. Ourselves, we represent the Critical Agency. We specialize in research, design, communication, strategy, and many different services. You will have an opportunity to hear a bit more about us maybe a bit later, as we will have some speakers representing the Critical. And the agenda for today is to have 3 presentations. So we will begin with a presentation called Where Does Innovation Actually Start? By partner strategy team lead Dominykas, who is also representing the Critical. And he is also a lecturer at one of the universities in Lithuania, as well as a member of the advisory board of Vilnius Ryta. So he will introduce himself and maybe say a couple of words about organizations that he presents, and he will introduce you to the topic of innovation. Innovation is a topic which is covered in the ECOPRISE MOOC course. So it's, I would say, of highly importance because it's being covered in many different units. After this presentation, we will have our second presentation by Žemartas Budrys, who is also a partner and sustainability lead at the Critical and also a lecturer at Vilnius University, and he will have a presentation on circular creativity. And after we have a short break, then we will continue with our third and last presentation called Circular Design by also partner and design strategist at the Critical, as well as a professor at Kaunas University of Technology, Jonas, and he will mainly introduce you to circular design. So all of these topics, they're quite related to the topics which are covered in second module, the module that you are currently taking. So I believe all what you will hear will be of relevance for further work while doing case studies analysis, and also at the end of this module while you will have to take the exam. So this is a good base to understand different notions concerning circularity, sustainability, innovation, and different topics related. And after these 3 presentations, we will have a panel discussion for half an hour, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, depending on how we will do with time. And then we'll have some place and time for your questions, remarks, maybe recommendations or suggestions. So after every presentation, you will also have this opportunity to ask questions. So please stay active and tuned, and do not be afraid to ask questions. In case you prefer to use the chat, you can use the chat, or you can also raise your hand and speak up. So it's really up to you. So before I give the word, just a reminder, what's the goal of this session? So the goal is to inspire and demonstrate how creativity is a concept or notion which connects all of the presentations today, can help you become drivers of innovation, sustainability, and circularity in designing the future. And our panelists, they will share the perspectives on the origins of innovation, the role of circular design, as well as the importance of different forms of creativity in developing sustainable ideas, such as exhibitions and different solutions, as well as services and products. So before we start, just a quick exercise, more like an icebreaker. I would like to hear from you in the chat. Where are you coming from? I saw that some of the participants, Zhao from Lisbon, I believe, have already started sharing. So please share your location and country. Where are you joining from? Just to understand where do we have our participants joining from. So please share it, and yeah, we will begin with presentation briefly. So I see a lot of different countries: Portugal, Italy, Lithuania, France, Norway. I'm glad to see that we also have some countries which are not being covered by this project, which is a great, great news for us. So welcome all joining from different countries. And now I will give the word to Dominykas, who will introduce you to innovation, something that you might be familiar with, but I believe that you will hear even more about it in his presentation. So Dominykas, yeah, the audience is yours.
I can start. Can you hear me? Tautvydas, can you double check? Yeah, the sound is okay?
Yeah, great.
Good. Okay, so I'll do a little bit of the introduction myself. So I'm my background is philosophy. I would say I'm deeply rooted in philosophy, what it is and how it is being perceived. So it was the fundamental part of how I see various ventures that I'm a part of. Doesn't matter the project, the longer, shorter one, within the agency or outside the critical agency. And it has been driving me throughout various experiences. I've started various startups like fashion brands, like basketball clubs, and then sold successfully and unsuccessfully. But I was always interested in how philosophy shapes innovation process, and how it shapes strategy. So those two areas, are the core focus of how and I do things. So look through the philosophical lens towards either strategy or innovation. And that's how we'll touch a little bit of the phenomenon of innovation. Some of the things probably will be very common to you because most of you work on different changes, social changes, cultural changes. So you have been introduced to the creativity part, to the innovation part. You do that. So some things will be common, and maybe some things will be uncommon, or even the process in itself will be something a little bit refreshing. So we'll touch that, and basically then we'll go to questions and answers. I don't know, how, because I like to jazz a bit, so I don't know how it will be with the time. So let's see, because some of the presentations are prepared, you have a few slides and you spend like half an hour, and then on some other occasions you spend on 10 slides, 10 minutes. Okay, so let's see. I hope yeah, I see that you can see me. I just want to move with this one. Tautvydas, can you tell me if you see anything else beside the presentation now?
Now we see a white screen for some
That's
reason.
it. Good. Yeah, the white screen should be here. So what we're starting from is one of the researchers, it's not a famous one, but I like the quote that he his quote, Oren Harari, about the innovation, basically about the process itself, that the electric light did not come from the continuous improvement of candles. And it's a kind of a very simple but profound way of looking into the innovation, because sometimes we get stuck into looking at the process and trying to figure out how we can improve, and then to get something different out of it. So usually, when you improve something, you get smaller changes, but that qualitative leap does not happen. And usually, the innovation in the most cases are defined by that qualitative leap, which is to some extent unexplainable jump. So when we're talking about innovation, even though a lot of people are having their 1 to 10 steps, or Guy Kawasaki is telling the core key cornerstones of innovation, how it could be achieved, and so on. But usually, if you actually would go deeper into that, it's that part that is difficult to explain. So there's something is happening, and then an explainable jump appears, and then you have something else. You have a different product, you have a different service, which has not a lot in common with what was happening before. So that qualitative leap is the innovation is defined by that qualitative leap, and you cannot skip it because otherwise it won't be the innovation. It will be more of some kind of a change or creative approach, but not in innovation per se. And today, what I wanted to touch and to show you one of the perspectives how you can look into innovation and just stop in one place, just to see where does innovation actually start. And again, if we define innovation, like it depends how we define the innovation. So how I see it, we'll touch a bit on it. And because of that definition, I see that innovation starts in a particular place. And when you find that place, it is easier to work with innovation, with that qualitative jump that defines innovation, and that let's say better life if that product or service is aimed at doing that. So it's pretty easy. And now I want you to focus a bit, but not focus with your just thinking attention, not with just your concentration on the text itself and what I'm saying, but just to expand your consciousness a little bit and try to feel where this question that will appear in the screen will put you into. So there is a very famous Buddhist zone, I think it's called zone, where certain questions or certain, let's say, texts would tricks you to put you in a particular state of being. So now just be attentive and then feel where this question leads you. So what is the sound of one hand clapping? And usually when people start to think about it, they try to visualize or catch that sound, and suddenly the visualization puts you into the frame, into the vision, let's say vision, where is no second hand. And usually clapping is a particular framework. When you say clapping, we usually visualize like two hands clapping, let's say. When you have one hand, so either if your mind is attuned to find the solution quick, if you have been trained at school that the answers and not the questions are the core for the process. So usually you would go to somewhere, okay, you can clap into your leg, you can clap into your wall or whatever, and there's a particular sound. If you're more attuned to, okay, what is it about, you'll start thinking, okay, I mean, there's no kind of clapping with one hand. I mean, you move through the ear and so on. Sorry? Yeah, I think somebody unmuted the mic. So the other part is, so the intention of this zone is to put you in a particular state and to trick your mind into rushing into answers, and put you into a state of a certain space where there's no answers. And here actually the innovation starts. So innovation starts in that place where there is no predefined answer, where you don't have the memory of what the solutions could be. And usually it's very uncharted, it's unprecedented, it's the territory of where you feel a bit uncomfortable because you don't have the quick solution for that. So in general, if we would move from the question, where does the innovation actually start? We actually touched the place. I showed you the place, you experienced it, at least I hope, and I could start here, there. And that would be impactful enough for you to move a little bit with innovation and look into it in a different way. But usually, as we like to, with all the things, we want more clarity, more safety. So let's unravel of more of the process of innovation itself. And one of the things, I think this is a quote that I got, I don't remember from where, that's why I cannot quote it, but I really like it because I adapted it a little bit, that to innovate is to wound the infinite with specificity. What it means is that there is the enormous amount, like you could say a cloud or whatever, or consciousness, which is beyond individual consciousness, where the ideas come from. And the examples of that, if probably you have experienced that you got the idea and suddenly you haven't acted it out and somebody else did, even though you haven't talked to that person about it, or it appears in another area or place. So what it indicates that those ideas are there. It's not that we come up with those ideas. They're there. And those who have the capacity to facilitate it or cultivate it, they have the capacity to innovate. What it means is that you take something out of that infinite, whatever that is, and you go with specificity. So you apply it in a specific culture, context, place, whatever. And wounding is a very strong word because it indicates a certain of action which is uncomfortable. So usually what happens when you take that infinite, you apply that specificity to a particular context or culture, let's say, because it's something new, it usually takes the process, and you need to have the willingness and capacity to go through different challenges. That's why it feels like wounding something. So I really like the play of the words here because it nicely indicates and underlines the phenomenon of innovating itself. So what are the three core parts of innovation? So in order to get to the innovation part, we have two parts beforehand. So one part is contemplation, the second part is creativity, and then only we arrive to innovation. Why? Because innovation in itself, in a vacuum, cannot exist, and you need those pre parts to arrive into something which actually has the impact. And I'll explain a little bit why. So, because from the philosophical perspective, word is a seed. What it means that every word that we define something with, it defines a particular narrative. So, of course, when you play with the words or you have a certain definition of, I don't know, it doesn't matter, the brand or the concept, that word and the definition of it defines how everything else out of it will grow. So, it means that it is a seed that actually is at the same time a frame. So we're talking in a particular frame, and also at the same time, it defines the potential of that phenomenon. So that's why these three parts are crucial to also define in a particular way. So when we're talking about contemplation, probably we won't have time to dive in how it is practiced because it's a very practical and simple process, but it means of being aware of the divine and going into sacred space. It has nothing to do with religion. It just means that you open up to the universe, to this context, to the you being aware of the surroundings that you're part of. So divine means that the surroundings that you love, that you're part of. So you are being aware of it, and you have a particular framework. I can go further a little bit. Just you have a particular broad question that you walk with. So that opens up and you don't rush to the answers. So that kind of state of being allows the universe, the surroundings to give you the answers, to provide you with ideas, and then you can move to the creativity part and the innovation part. Why it's important? Because if we're stuck within thinking realm, we are not innovating. We are just using the same memory patterns to solve same things with the same tools, with the same kind of, let's say, patterns, experiences, and so on. So it's reshuffling things. So we can say that it's a creative way of solving challenges, but it's not an innovative way of changing, let's say, the pattern, the behavior, or solving something. So contemplation is about opening yourself up to the divine and not rushing to answers. And usually we have some kind of mixing between, okay, so what's the difference between contemplation, concentration, and meditation? So the difference is concentration is mental. You just concentrate on something. So you're forcing your mind to focus on a single point, requires effort. You usually do that at school, and it's not very effective. You can concentrate for a little amount of time. You can solve the things which are predefined, which are certain, but when it's more uncertainty, concentration doesn't work. On the other side, meditation, transcendental meditation could work, but you need way more practice than contemplation to actually acquire the skills to meditate properly. And it usually dissolves everything. And sometimes it's difficult to grasp the question that you have started with. And contemplation is a little bit of a gentle pressure on an idea or feeling. So it's more playful, receptive. You have a certain question that you walk with, but at the same time, you are aware of what is being shown to you and you don't provide and think about it. So this is a book that is good, that tells a little bit about the art of contemplation. I think that probably maybe we will skip this part. Let me think how we can go with that, because it's a longer conversation. Maybe I'll introduce you a little bit into that, because you know probably David Lynch. I hope that you do, because my students at ISM have no clue of David Lynch because of the age gap probably. So he's talking about transcendental meditation. A very simple thing is that we have a certain consciousness, and if consciousness is of a golf size, then when we read the book, we get the understanding of the golf size. When we go and we wake up in the morning and we see the world through the golf size view. When you expand that consciousness through various means and like contemplation or meditation, you get bigger awareness. So let's say basketball or even bigger. And then when you read something, you get the understanding of a basketball. You get the understanding. You wake up in the morning, you see, you're aware of the things that are happening around you through the lens, through the basketball lens consciousness. So that's why it's important to at the beginning, when you have a particular challenge, not to rush into the answers, but at least to be open up to the universe or the context, what it is telling you in order to innovate. I'm not talking about certain creativity or other parts. So now we're moving to the creativity part. After the contemplation, we have the creativity part, which is different from contemplation, way different, and it is being defined as bringing something into existence. So it means that you have opened up yourself and certain ideas are coming, and now you're bringing it into existence. So you're manifesting it into a certain density. You have certain maybe mind forms, you have already certain language, how to define that. You have certain things, how you think of prototyping, and you apply and test and so on. So the video that you see here is from the Grand Slam in Madonna di Campiglio, where before them starting the competition, they have this training session where they have a certain pattern, how they move, and they just practice it. They practice it. So creativity is something like that. When you already have a certain idea and now you apply it, you practice, you prototype, you test, you do that, but it's still not a competition. You still do not introduce it to the market. It's still not the product itself or the service itself. And it's very interesting to look a bit into it chronologically, that at the beginning, it expands a little bit of understanding of creativity and innovation. At the beginning, it was thought that, muses only bring creativity. Then it was the domain of God, done for specific human beings. Now everybody has to be creative. It's actually a must. So, so looking at the creativity, it always was something of a unique. Now it has to be everywhere, in every organization, in every endeavor. Like creativity, creative approach is kind of a must. And now it became only a part of science, which is not that long ago. Science said that like science cannot be creative. It has to be very measured, and creativity is not a part of scientific process. So now it has even become the part of science culture. So now, if we touch a little bit of the creativity, I want to, again, not going into the example, and here I would engage with you. So what's the greatest creation? And here lies a bit of the answer, that when we think about creativity, we have to think about the creation. So what is the result of the creativity process? And sometimes we just engage into too small of the products or service or nudges or something like that. But actually, creativity has liveliness in it. And one of the biggest creations is the human being. So it is like we still, I like that example that we have newspapers and magazines talking about how incredible the new app is, but we forget that every day is I don't know how many children being born and nobody celebrates that, even though this is the heart of the creation and creativity itself. So what I want to stress here is that creativity is about liveliness. So whatever you create, so when you have that a particular idea that you're now bringing into existence, you cannot define it strictly and make it let's say liveless. It has to be alive. It has to be able to adapt. You can prototype. You can test. You don't have one path. It's a part of the creativity. So it has to be whatever you're bringing into existence and how you're bringing it. It has to be alive and able to adapt because it's still not the product which goes into the market or service that goes into the market, culture, whatever domain you're working with. And I think one of the best books for that, through the lens of creativity, is the Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act. I hope you have read it, A Way of Being. It's a really good read. And even his podcasts or Tetragrammaton are really good. And this is the guy. I don't know if you know if David Lynch was the famous legendary filmmaker. Rick Rubin is the famous music producer, legendary one. So again, we won't go into the video here. Something I can put the links, and we're moving into the innovation part, the last one. This one is a bit rare to think about it in this way. So innovation means introducing something new. So I'm not going into the new part now, and what we need to focus here is the introducing part. So if contemplation brings you, opens up you into the domain of ideas, you grasp a certain idea, you work with it through the creative process, and then when you have finally prototyped what you want to decide, what you want to go into the, with which we want to go and into the culture, into a particular context, what you do, you introduce it. And that introductory part is very important for that team that is working on it to be sensitive for the context where it is being introduced. Because in most cases, in this step, teams start to think, okay, now the marketing technique. So what we need to do, we need, to spend more on ads or billboards or whatever, yada, yada. But the thing is, how it works best is when you at least have a certain understanding of the context and the user journey, let's say, so you know where that product or service can be best introduced. So sometimes it's not the Facebook ad, but it's maybe giving as the Revolut was doing, giving the business cards for students, let's say, because they still don't know which kind of bank to use. And if somebody is giving it for free, they started using it and so on. So where to and how to introduce. So this is the last part, which is, okay, so introducing, timing, place, space and time, where and how it has to be introduced, has to be looked through that lens and on how to market it. Because usually when you're bringing something new, it means that it won't be easily accepted through the marketing. It has to be introduced, injected to that culture or that, let's say, that context. So also like chronologically, it's also funny to look at it sometimes that long ago, anything related to innovation was seen as heresy because it questioned the status of the government, of the church or whatever. So nothing had to be changed. Then it was seen as progress. And now, if you're not innovative, it means that you're not doing anything. So it's a part of our culture with startups and with businesses, R&D and so on. So innovation is value in itself. So if you're an innovator, you're way more important than the person who is working, I don't know, for social service, because somehow it has a huge greater value. So it's now the consciousness and the narrative about innovation is very, very kind of trendy because we put a lot of value into it. So yeah, we won't go into that. If you want, I can tell you what that is about later on. And Tautvdas, how much time we still have? We're done.
A bit behind the time, but you still have some minutes. So yeah.
Okay, so we will stop probably after this slide, I think. Then we'll grasp the whole landscape of innovation. We'll have all those three parts, and then we can go into Q&A session. Unless I will check if I want to show another slide. But so the parts of the first step, which is contemplation, it has like awareness. There's no such a word, but I didn't want to write being aware of the divine because I needed then to squeeze it into the slide. So awareness is the word here of the divine. So there's three steps, but in general, not to go deeper there, what you need to do, you need to find the particular question that you are searching an answer to, and usually it is related to some kind of phenomenon, and then not rush into that answer. And then it depends. Maybe you like to walk in the forest, maybe you like being in a cafe, whatever. Just expose yourself to whatever inspires you, and be open throughout the day or throughout the week to get everything that feels right there. So you don't think about it. You just take notes, you just take photos. If you see that the sunset somehow reminds you of that, or somehow resonates with that question that you're having and walking with, you just take a photo of that, or you just make a diary. And then later on, in the second stage, where you go and bringing into the existence, what you do with all that information, you start to explore more in depth. You do the research, you go into, you observe the people and so on, then you converge. That's the play part. So, okay, now what can be done, what could be the pilot phase, how we can test the things, and then you decide, okay, this is that we're working with, this is where like there's a discrimination in it because everything else doesn't work and it feels right, and whatever data says that it's right, and we move with that decision, with that prototype, and we make it into a product or service, and then we introduce. What is very important is everything that you do, the innovation serves the impact purpose. What it means is that you want a certain impact, you want a certain, let's say, a structural change. It means that you need to measure at the beginning what the impact you want to do. So basically, what's the status quo is there. And then when you go and introduce it into the market, you can, after a certain time, again, measure it and see the difference and the change. So when you have that, you can actually see this particular innovation, what kind of change, because what kind of impact it created. So it is very important to frame your innovation at the beginning with a certain impact intention and certain formula that what you will be measuring, and measure it, and afterwards to measure it. So that impactful part is crucial, especially for innovation to be developed, to get the resources, to get the funding, and so on. Find a particular place and time, as I told you before. And the crucial part, like I say that it has to be a part of the process, not excluded, is to launch and enjoy. So to celebrate, because the process is not easy. You need to wound the infinite to bring it into existence. And it has, I mean, it's the process that takes time and effort. And if you don't enjoy after 2 or 3 times, or 2 or 3 innovations, or 2 or 3 iterations of the innovations, the energy will drop, and you won't be able to survive, and you won't be able to keep up. So to enjoy after each stage, you innovate, you introduce it into the market. Yes, you will need to change things. Yes, you will need to iterate, but just enjoy, and have fun with it, because you've done something amazing. So I stop here. I'll check through the slides if I want to show something also after that. But now I give the floor to Tautvydas, you, because the questions and answers part, yeah?
Yeah. So thank you, Dominykas. Very interesting, very insightful. Do we have any questions from the audience? If you have a question, you can write it in the chat, or you can also speak up. You just need to raise a hand and you will be given the microphone. As we wait
Hello,
a second.
may I put a question? I'm Gabriela. Yes.
Yeah, please.
I've got 2 questions. Sorry. May I?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Gabriela, thank you for bringing, in a way, spirituality to innovation. Really, thank you to our presenter. Is there for you a way that before contemplation, there could be also a problem rising up, and that is the way to put this process of innovation into place? So starting with a kick of the problem instead of the contemplation, that's my question.
Yeah, so thank you for the question, and thank you for the support of bringing spirituality, because sometimes when I open up for the students, they focus on, technology, app creation, something small, and I'm like asking them, what do you think, like, is logic and innovation, is democracy and innovation, which is a meta innovation like structural change, and nobody thinks that they could actually focus on such structural changes and work not on another delivery app. So just expand their consciousness of how it could be. And usually, as you know, Mendeleev table was dreamed, and it wasn't like created through the mind, let's say, or through the thinking process. So that's why I think spirituality is important, because those meta innovations happen not through the working on your memory, thoughts, and so on. And going into your question, I think if you're with already your question, I think you know the answer, because if you're attuned and sensitive enough to what is happening in the world, and you are aware of the context, you have a certain field that you care for. So that's already, like, if you have a certain field that you care for, it's a part of being open up to that divine. Let's say it could be a community, how community operates in the district that you're a part of. So you being aware of it, being sensitive to it, it already gives you certain ideas. So that contemplation part, it extends a little bit further. So in this case, it's more like the process is more suited for, okay, the students or like organizations, okay, we need now to contemplate on it. But in other cases, if you're just open up to what is happening and you're sensitive enough to what is happening, to the field to the context that you care for, it will give you certain maybe questions, maybe ideas that then you can work on. So I would say that it's the same contemplation. It's only a bit of a different taste of it. So it expands and you live with it, and because contemplation, what it does, it opens you up to the, let's say, context and universe through a particular framework, through a particular question. But if you're open already, so the ideas come in, and then the question is, do you want to accept them, nurture it, play with it, and make it into the existence? So that's basically the answer. So I think, yeah.
Thank you. And then we have one more question. Yeah, please, Gabriela.
May I just say one? Thank you, really. It was wonderful to listen to you. And I had asked a question because I was thinking about a business environment. And your question put me in another place that I have never been before, your answer. And that is that even if you start with a problem, even with a group, like a continuous improvement process group, like I did in the past, you really have to go away from the problem and much beyond and see the whole context. So really, thank you.
Great.
Katerina, please, you have a question.
Yes, thank you very much for this presentation. It's nice to go philosophical, I feel. And I was wondering if you could talk just a bit if there's any difference between applying this process that you described to trying to change something behavioral and trying to implement products in a market. Because actually the whole thing that you mentioned, for me, I was thinking about how it can be just applied conceptually on behavior without any physical outcome. So just if you could say if for you there's any difference.
Yeah, the difference between the working on a product and working on a behavior change through this process, or yeah, just to clarify. So yeah, I mean, we have in our agency a little bit of a down-to-earth process, which is called context thinking. So to some extent, it grounds this approach with a certain framework, but everything, like, I will go a little bit back, and everything depends on the part that we are not being taught at schools, because what we're being taught at school, or have been taught, is to rush for the answers, and we haven't been we're taught to spend enough time on the question, and that's decides the very crucial part when we're thinking, okay, so what is the challenge? So I usually I like to say that when you have a problem, you need to transform it into the phenomenon. And it's very one of the very simple ways of doing that is, okay, the problem is, let's say, in terms of behavior, let's put it that way. People in Vilnius are not using public transportation. That's a problem. So, and you need a behavior change. So what you need to do, you need to reframe it to the phenomenon. How you go into that, you ask, what does it mean to use public transportation in Vilnius? So this kind of reframing into phenomenon changes the perspective. And now you can either go into a more, I call it delta innovation. So more of through a particular process to observe, to see, to research it, or you can contemplate also in it. You can just go and, okay, so what does it mean to use public transportation in Vilnius? And you can just, walk with it in the forest or something, and you will get certain insights if you're immersed, if you opened up to that. And then you have certain, again, creativity part, innovation part that you can apply to. So in a nutshell, there's no difference between a product or behavior change because it's the question that you're seeking answer to. And that's why I don't want to frame it in a particular product, because product has to probably, everything is about, in this case, Žemartas won't like it, but in this case, I'll define it here, everything is about human world. So we're trying but if you want to expand your consciousness, you can go even further, okay, so including nature also. So what are if you're building the city, so you can, you should also think about the birds, how they're moving in the city and so on and so forth. So that's another way of looking into the things and to the problems and challenges. But going back to your question, so it doesn't matter if it's a product or behavior change. It's a question. The question is, what is the question that you want the answer to? And usually you need to go a little bit further or back to make it more open to get the answer. If you will frame it, oh, the problem is, okay, today I had, if the problem is, let's say people are not sitting in the front row at school or whatever, doesn't want to sit. That's a problem. How you solve it? You start searching for certain tools or something to apply. If you go back and frame it into the question, and maybe more broad one, what does it mean to sit in the front row in general, in the audience, in the conferences and so on? So suddenly you open up and you can now see how you can, check and see, either contemplate on it or go and do the research. But that's basically a simple reframing into the question, to phenomenon, how it opens up. It doesn't matter the product or behavior change. I don't know if I've answered the question. I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Unfortunately, we have to move on. So thank you a lot, Dominykas, for sharing your insights. Hopefully it has been useful, and hopefully you will apply something in your own practices. And now we have to move to the second presentation. So as we went through contemplation, creativity, and then we went to innovation, we will go one step back and we will go to creativity. We will talk about circular and circular creativity. And here we will have our second speaker, presenter, Žemartas. He's also here. And
yes, hi, everybody. Okay, since Dominykai, you innovatively ate all of my time, but I enjoyed your presentation as well so much, so no worries. So I will try to be quicker, and my part I would say will be more practical. I chose to present one case that we went through. I think it was in a way how Dominykas described creativity and how we moved through it, and also we based our work on contextual thinking. So I think you will find some mirroring between my presentation and Dominykas, but I have to warn you, this is very practical case after Dominykas' presentation. So let me try to share my screen. No, once again, I need to share the sound as well. Yes, so if can anybody... no, I am not allowed to share. I need to resume, but it doesn't change. Yes, it doesn't go. Unfortunately, for some reason. So then I will ask Tautvydas to share my slides. Sorry for that.
A second.
We checked before and it didn't work, and it still haven't worked this time. Yeah, so while Tautvydas is sharing the screen, I will try to introduce what it's going to be about. So I'm going to talk about the exhibition that we prepared for the European Green Capital 2025, which was Vilnius. Still kind of hoping to have a bigger legacy, one of them actually as well, as an outcome of this exhibition. So in order, you have a similar issue?
Yes, but
Yeah. Anyway, so actually we started talking with Vilnius Green Capital, the exhibition, the office, and they said they want to have something on the ground, something very tangible as well, very attractive, inclusive, accessible. And then we proposed an idea that we are going to produce an exhibition that was meant for the to present and demonstrate the cases that are coming bottom up. So basically, whatever institutions and initiatives that are in Vilnius, they got a chance to be in the exhibition. And we walked through a lengthy process actually with each of them. While selecting, we had a different criteria, various criteria how we chose them. Maybe I can try without the sound, then maybe that could work totally.
yeah, please, you can try it without the sound. Maybe try to share it again, maybe it will work.
If you, Žemartas, need some, time to solve this, I can.
You are ready, huh?
Yes.
Does that work?
Yeah. Now,
Do you see the globe?
yes.
Do you have a sound?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So as I started to introduce the work that we done for the Green Capital of Europe 2025, we met with them, we heard them what was their challenge or what was their wish, and we decided to propose that we are going to do the exhibition of basically uncover and discover the practices that are being done in Vilnius, and in order to inspire people, and that there are many different innovative sustainability regenerative practices that are around them, and also inform them about all of it, and And then once again, we also looked for the moments of connecting those different initiatives with the audiences, be it the people who are just watching the exhibition or attending any events, or even those other initiatives that are out there. So the main target group was actually the Vilnius residents and communities across various different districts, age social groups. Also, we thought what could be the places where the exhibition will be held, and how to attract the unusual suspects to the exhibition that is not necessarily attending them. Also, the exhibition was bilingual in Lithuanian and English, so any expats or tourists or migrants could visit, who of course speak English, could attend the exhibition. As a side, also, we kind of wanted to push the municipal representatives to watch the exhibition in order for them to see how many things are happening in Lithuania, or particularly in Vilnius, and how they actually could support those initiatives. So in order to be transparent and also decisive, because there are many things, that might be brought into the exhibition, we set certain criteria. This is like a brief list. We have like a full long list, but just to share with you, we had a kind of a criteria to ourselves that the exhibition should be impactful, relevant, accessible, be it language-wise, be it physically accessible, and evoke positive emotions. So basically, even though some initiatives deal with really harsh matters of sustainability, we wanted to demonstrate that these harsh matters are met, and we also introduced the opportunity for people to join and help those initiatives. So, for instance, there was an initiative that was presented in the exhibition that dealt with basically people who left the prison and have no job, no home, nothing basically, and those people are really in a peculiar situation because they went to jail when they were like 18 or so, and spent in jail 20 years. And then suddenly they have to be in the very different world. There were the moments that they didn't have a key, never had a key, etc. But then we kind of turned into the positive and demonstrated how these initiatives are helping these people, and how these people reaching their different layers of life. It should be open and interactive. So also we installed interactive tools and methods in the exhibition, and also we try to engage with visitors in order to make the exhibition more engaging. Also, we knew that we want to bring the exhibition into different districts to reach our not usual suspects. And these not usual suspects were the people who live in so-called sleeping districts. So we had to create the structure that is design and mobile, and that could be placed in different places, not white cube exhibition halls, but actually community places, libraries, some open spaces, etc. And it must be easily movable, right? And then, of course, there are many initiatives that are doing great stuff in Vilnius and in Lithuania, but we had to choose some of them in order to make a kind of comprehensive exhibition as well. So we focus only on bottom-up, only on the ones that mainly work in Vilnius for Vilnius. So meaning that there are maybe bigger and stronger initiatives that are based in Vilnius, but they are dealing with the problems nationally or even internationally. So those were not presented in the exhibition. And then we thought that we need to also balance between different levels of sustainability, pillars of sustainability, meaning that some of them dealt with ecology, some on social matters, some of governance matters, etc. So, and that was a very interesting, lengthy process. So the first thing was to find the focus after the divergent process that Dominykas was mentioning. And basically, we dealt with the only local initiatives that deal with global problems locally. And then we interviewed all of them. So went to their places, met with them, talked with them, found the ways how they might be presented. And all of them were happy to share, their some visuals, some stories that could be presented. So all the initiatives were presented in different ways, visually or in narration. So the content-wise, we realized that we will do this is our filmmaker who also made little videos of each initiative during the interview processes and of the places. So we focus on bottom-up initiatives. We also presented some responsible businesses, but they are kind of on the edge of social NGO realm, but kind of in a way, formally they are business. Then we presented also the municipal initiatives that are helping those different initiatives, bottom-up initiatives to start. So for instance, if you got inspired in our exhibition and you know a different idea that you would like to develop, then you walk towards the municipal initiatives and funding schemes, etc., that were presented. Then you kind of find a way, maybe there is a way for you to start your own bottom-up organization and initiative. And of course, other useful information, so basically on ecology, on social matters, etc. That was related on the exhibition topics. Then very interesting part also was the technical part. So what kind of design we can do, what materials we're gonna use, and how everything is circular or not. So basically, you see my colleague David is standing with a piece of metal in one kind of construction graveyard that we chose to use. And basically, those metals were owned by the city. They didn't know what they are used for. And they basically lend us this type of structure. So we didn't buy anything. Actually, virtually, we did not buy anything for the exhibition. all the things that were brought into the exhibition, structures, or the representing part was the borrowed ones or found ones, or in a way constructed from scrap, etc. So the only part that we bought was the 4 cables of cord extensions to the headphones. That was the only thing that we actually bought it and actually stayed, and we couldn't gave it back basically to the shop. But that was also mesmerizing, and maybe this somehow you can find a place for innovation. That what I found during this technical process, that there is a hidden abundance. Once I started calling my friends that owned exhibition halls or galleries or other community places, I found out how much stuff they have and how little they use. So this is my car full of TV sets that were lent by the Kaunas Biennale people, wonderful people. And they gave us just for free because they weren't using those TV sets, right? So, and I just packed and went, and we installed and used those TV sets. Then we got different, iPads from the National Gallery, those structures from Grinda, the municipal agency. So all the things were laying around basically, and just we had to take them. And then once the exhibition has started, we realized that there is that opportunity of power of community when everybody, all those initiatives met, and now we are thinking of actually creating a new space for all those initiatives, that they would be placed in one place all together. And we found that could be a next kind of leap of innovation when the social eco-governance comes together and works on the matters that are really important. So this is a part of the exhibition. We also wanted to stay transparent for ourselves and decode the exhibition itself. So the exhibition had different labels, our presentations had different labels, so that people would be aware that this is on the environmental sustainability or this is on social sustainability. And then each object had as a marker if it's a circular object or if it's a semicircular or linear, and everything was explained in the exhibition, so that if a person looks around and sees like, this is a circular one, they will, fully, that's gonna live, as a original use. Or if it's semicircular, that might be that part of it, or it will, while being in the exhibition, it will bring their value down, so this is kind of a thing we used to do in the exhibition. And then I wanted to finalize with ethical, or like a kind of a question, a quote that leads me through decision making as well. So this is Timothy Beatley. So whether to preserve mountaintops or riverfronts as natural areas for wildlife habitat or other conservation objective, or to permit these areas to be used for industrial or recreational activities, is an ethical question. So each single time I try to raise this, and start the process on this, what values I'm bringing into solving certain issue, for instance, or taking up a certain activity. So this is it from me. I hope I did not save some time. I was on time for myself.
But not for me.
Not for you anymore. Well, blame Dominykas.
No, it's okay. It's okay with time. Maybe we have some questions from the audience. Is there any questions? Please raise your hands or please let us know in the chat. It would be nice to have a question or maybe two. If no questions, maybe we'll have questions later. So in that case, maybe we can move forward with your presentation, Jonas. So now we will talk about circular design. So from circular creativity to circular design.
Yeah, we need to say that we are getting rid of the break, right? There will be no break. So if any of you are willing to solve some biological issues, please don't forget to switch the camera off. Okay, I'm taking over with, again, similar but different topic and content. And my focus will be, well, again, the sustainability, circularity, this more precise probably angle of circularity, and in combination with design. And I don't know if you are wondering or not, what are those two symbols? What are they? So this is the part of the brand Circuloop. And Circuloop was one of the few circular design pre-accelerators in Europe, which was held in Kaunas. And we were, as an agency, the critical agency, we were part of this pre-accelerator, the partners, together with Kaunas Technology University and Politecnico di Milano. You can even find the branding case study on our website, which is not the only thing we did in partnership with this pre-accelerator. But the things I will talk today, they appeared in this context, right? In this circular design pre-accelerator. So just to bring the context. And when we are talking about the future, we all know that the circular economy, with all this actions of trying to wait if it's still relevant concept, if it's still we can rely on it, and it still works as a probably most articulated basis even for European Union, as how they are treating and dealing with Green Deal. If we would ask the question why circular economy is a future, so we do have a bunch of those arguments, and one part of those, of course, related with regulations, directives, which are coming in our case from European Commission, and they are tightly related with all the environmental responsibility, economic competitiveness, supply chain optimization, and quite recently, not so recently even, with all the resilience aspect to that, by not letting materials to get out or resources to get out the region, and etc. Then we do have market leaders who do recognize the circular approach as one of the competitive advantages, and they are experimenting and then building some solutions on that. We will see the examples. And consumers, right? And then point of all the consumption chain is also more conscious every day, and they are like expecting and requiring some solutions which would be like sustainable or even circular. So by moving forward, again, the reminder for all of us that circular economy is not recycling economy. What is it looking for? It looks for to keep things in the loops, in those different loops. The closer loop, the better. But it's the recycling aspect is the worst thing what can happen in the circular economy context. And 3 principles of the circular economy. So, of course, eliminate waste and then pollution. Use product and materials instead of throwing them away. And again, that's where this resilience aspect this is tightly related with. And restore natural systems which were like harmed with our approaches of economies. And what is important to understand when we are talking about design and the role of design in all this circular economy context, that 80% of the circularity of products and services are decided at the early design stage. And the reason why, because design is, when we do have some issues to solve with the help of solutions and by using some materials or some resources. Design is actually very early stage of all the chain, what will happen later on. And all the decisions are made there, affecting the rest of the chain. Simple as that, simple logic. And what is interesting, right, is also to see and understand that it's the evolution that we even all the critique for the circular economy is coming from the perspective that considering circular economy as a end result, but it is not, right? It's one of the stages towards towards this even hard to describe what, right? Because it's a bunch of the things are involved. Environment, to resilience, competitiveness, and etc. To enhance each of those separate parts. So circular economy, circular design is one of the stages and one of the most progressive ones at the moment, what we do have. And we can even split all the evolution in 2 parts. The technological approach, what we had in 1780s with green design, eco design, where all the focus was by solving only some aspects of solution, of design solution, but not looking more holistic in what is happening. Around the yeah, someone forgot to switch off the mic. Okay, around the solution and looking more in a systemic way, right? With wider context, with all everything what has been involved. By moving forward, what is important for circular design? So to emphasize now that it's life-centric design, because people, planet, all those things which are especially in our cultures, in our how we do recognize valuable things, people and planet is important, right? What usually or not usually, or sometimes we are forgetting, and especially I'm not maybe talking about the agency, the context where business is involved, but especially in educational contexts, we are forgetting business aspect to that, because it's not sustainable to create a sustainable solution without considering business aspect to that. It wouldn't work, right? So it's all those three components are important, and mutual relationship, the tangible relationship between those. Then system-oriented design is important. This zoom in, zoom out approach, right? By solving some particular details. Žemartas was mentioning a bunch of those, but with possibility to zoom out and to see the wider context, and what Dominykas was talking more about this, to understand the wider, right? Wider situation. And again, diving deeper, zooming in. Also, it's important to emphasize that as the circular economy is not the end result of all the evolution, so same with design, and with this smaller context, that there is no final design, and it's especially important in this circular design context, all the iteration aspect to that this constant feedback loop, which is informing how products or services should be improved, is crucially important, especially keeping in mind that we are still in very early stages of circular design. Okay, so those examples, few examples, just to understand that it's already happening around, and we do know the fail phone, right? Where this question has been tried to solve, how gadget could be designed so there would be no need to get rid of it after some part is not performing enough or good comparing to competitors, just by possibility to change these particular parts. And what is involved, materials, so responsible sourcing of materials, this modular design, and community. Of course, we can discuss, how, if it's buzzword in this case, or if it's not. And for example, in my case, I do have iPhone, not Fairphone. This modular and material-aware solution didn't solve me. Yes, I do like the concept, but I'm buying a wider ecosystem of the experience, right? So the Fairphone did great with device, but didn't met, for example, my needs for the ecosystem. So our example, which is one of the examples, and we do have a bunch of similar solutions. It's open desk like service, which creates an open source digital designs that can be downloaded, customized for some particular needs, and manufactured locally. And they are solving, right, the waste and storage cost, the CO2 emission aspect to that, because it's tightly related, delivery repair times and costs, because you are able to how to say, to manufacture things close to you, right? And the business model is based on open access and membership, with the possibility to share all those the network part aspect to that, and open source design blueprints. Mud jeans. So what is interesting with them, that they are experimenting with materials and with the type of how you are buying or how you are purchasing jeans. So they are already reusing about 50% of materials are reused. And they are also introduced the possibility to rent jeans instead of buying, which creates discussion. If it's you're just how to say, at the end of the day you're paying same amount. It's like a loan, but how to say, the original intention is that at the end of usage stage you are sending back the jeans, and they are recycling the material and using it for creating for manufacturing the new pair of jeans. So yeah, again, this is how to say, this rent possibility to rent the jeans is less popular compared to buying. And there are those examples, for example, for toothbrush company, which I don't remember the name, where you also subscribing for getting the head of an electric toothbrush by sending the used one back to them, right? But someone calculated the CO2 footprint you are leaving with all this effort, putting the used toothbrush head to the envelope, sending with couriers, right? So a lot of services and separate artifacts are involved in this, and at the end of the day, it's it's more sustainable to just put this head to the trash bin, plastic one, for example. And this already no-brainer and a very common thing is car sharing, and we are proud Vilnius is the capital #1 in all the Europe by the number of car sharing cars compared to the how many people are living in the city. And this is one of the examples where products are turned into service, right? So I do need to move my body from A to B, but I'm doing it in this, with the help of service instead that I'm buying a car. It's not, in most cases, it is not replacing the only or first car in the family, but it's usually replacing the second car in the families, or younger audiences who are not having cars. And for the very end of presentation, the part which is dedicated to branding and communication, the two topics integrated topics which are also hugely involved in all the story of circular design, but they are bringing a bit different impact to that. Not the one we can think of straight away. For example, if we're thinking about how to create some sustainable design solution or circular design solution, first of all, we are starting to think about materials, right? It's like cliche. Branding and communication is probably the last part, but they are also important and they do have their own role. So I will walk us through what is same compared to existing activities in this field, that it remains the need to assess whether it's the creation of new brand or redesign of existing one, because it is informing how to strategize and to what actions needs to be taken. The need to organize the brand architecture remains. As in linear economy or circular economy, those principles are same. And remains the need to create a consistent and feature-rich, easy adaptable and iterable system, the brand codes, which would be recognizable, which would trigger emotion and etc. So all the things remains. What is different that the brand ensures the qualitative parameters of emotional relationship with the product. It's kind of same, but it brings different meaning in this context. Because if a person do have emotional relationship with a product, the person cares more about the product. And it's tightly related with the second point that this emotional connection with a product reduces the risk of its moral wear and tear. So it lasts longer, simple as that. And the person wants to take care of products, to repair it, to fix it, or to separate materials, right? To put those in the different trash bin, etc. So emotion creates this or enhances aspect of responsibility. Optimization. It's tightly related to both the process and end result. So simplicity, clarity, and optimal number of components of visual identity system. The more intuitive one, the less things we do have, the better. So it's easier for everyone involved in the working environment or dealing with this identity. It saves time, saves resources, and etc. This example you can see, it's the brand where only one brand code was used. This particular proportion triangle, black one triangle, and that's all. It was everything, the logo, the graphic motif, and the only one brand code. Simple as that. To use sustainable or circular technologies in brand or visual identity solutions and touch points. So this very, very old concept of eco-fonts, when the print production was bigger, and by introducing those dots in the fonts, they were able to save like 30-40% of the ink, which still huge. And this is of course not the only one possible technology to be used. And reusing existing resources, solutions, ideas, or already dead brands, by critically meeting if there is a need to create everything from scratch, if it's still possibility to reuse what was being used. So we do have same pattern of thinking when we are thinking about materials. So same applies to some already made decisions or already made solutions for those to be reused. In this case, we reused the logotype of hotel, restaurant, and etc. from the 60s, which already has been made. Of course, it has no additional value to that because all the storytelling behind, but it has also this aspect. And communication, right? So communication has also mission, right? In investing in convincing consumers that products or services are sustainable by disclosing the efforts made to promote sustainability, is important. Because if not communication, then what? Now, where people will get know that this particular solution, product, brand is sustainable, and how it is sustainable, and why it is sustainable, or circular, etc. Communication allows you to provide information and fill gaps in consumers' knowledge. I will show a little bit later the barriers people are having. So it's tightly related and solving one of those. And communication is very important, but companies should be careful because too much if we are putting too many a lot of effort by saying how we are sustainable, we can lead to consumer hesitation. And they might start to question, if it's really the deal. For example, of course, this case, what you see, it's Lithuanian one of the brands said that we are using 90% less plastic for our mineral water. Like what? Even they didn't say for what. But the bottles remain same. They were using only this strap to connect 6 bottles into one instead of this, the plastic which goes around all the 6 bottles. So it's a little bit greenwashing, and we will talk about it now. Greenwashing is this very opposite to the to the good intention of branding, sustainable branding and communication. When we are saying a lot more instead of what compared to what we did, and false or misleading claims about the environmental benefits of a product, service, or company, this is considered to be a greenwashing. And for example, in this case, it says cleaner fuel, cleaner lungs, and reduced CO2 by 20%. And it was the petroleum station who was advertising this. And they got the fine because it was only one product among a bunch which has those parameters, and they didn't set that. It was some biodiesel, and where they were even using palm oil for production of this biodiesel, which already raises the question, about sustainability and ethical aspects. So it doesn't work, right? Then greenwashing occurs in advertising, product labeling, manufacturing processes, packaging, disposal, and at the end-of-life stages. So everywhere. And this is the trolleybus in Vilnius, which says choose transport without CO2, which is not necessarily true, because it depends where on how electricity was created or produced, because it might be that CO2 is involved. And in addition to to objective this reputational damage, where is the risk of creating unfavorable competitive conditions for sustainable companies. So if someone is greenwashing, it is harming a lot those who are actually do have sustainable or circular solution, because it is creating those barriers for the end users, for consumers. And those identified barriers, the main ones is the economic one, because usually how we are thinking that circular or sustainable solution will be more expensive, because it is somehow they are dealing differently with all the chain, right? Then convenience barrier, that the solution probably will not be so convenient. Performance barrier, we all know that I don't know, dishwash tablets or washing machine, how to say, all the chemical things that they are performing not so good compared to not sustainable ones, right? This is the barrier. Knowledge barrier, we are operating with limited knowledge. Trust barrier, and this is tightly related with where communication and branding can deal with. Yeah, and that's all. You're welcome.
Thank you, Jonas. It was very interesting, also very long, but hopefully it was interesting for all of us. So maybe now some of you have questions. In case you have, please speak up, or please let us know in the chat your questions. We can also write down answers in the chat in case we don't have time to answer them now. But in case there is a question, feel free to ask it now. Okay, so I see no questions, but there was one comment which was very interesting. I will quote it. I find real value in these examples as innovation ideas, but not as much as practical value, since they remain widely inaccessible to their elevated cost. Only the West could afford 130 euros jeans, not the same buying capabilities for most of the people in developing countries. When idea meets competitive market costs or solutions, only then it would be a no-brainer for people to buy more sustainable products at a similar cost. Jonas, maybe you would like to react to this comment.
Good comment and maybe question. And as I mentioned at the beginning, maybe that it's some stage of it, right? And we can see it as a parallel to some technological evolution. Whereas, for example, LED screens or TVs, they were very expensive at the beginning. Now they are not, because technology has been developed. In this case, same, right? Businesses, they are like experimenting, investing, and it has a cost, because they want turnover after all. And some models, they are not sustainable business-wise, they are just dying. Others are moving forward. And as for example, this the car sharing, right? At the very beginning, it was a bunch of the companies, they just bankrupt, because how service was created. It was not so comfortable. The trust was involved, that you were pushed to write down some contracts, complicated ones. There was no remote possibility. You needed to have a card, and etc. And evolution led to the result that now we do have 3 operating brands in Vilnius with huge amount of the cars we are using, and the services are profitable for the business who are running it. Yeah.
Thank you. Žemartas, you have a question, please.
No, not a question, actually, to just build on Jonas' comment. I think what is also very important that we count in the externalities that are being, discounted sometimes in the usual businesses, right? So right now we are, for instance, quite involved with the construction sector on the circular construction, and this is like, to basically to demolish a building is cheaper than to kind of harvest it and then find new places for the materials, right? And some of that is because we can, get raw material so cheap that it's cheaper when actual already made material, right? So because it's the composite and etc. So also the policy plays a huge role here in order to push the business and actually put the price tag, which is actual, including the externalities, in the usual business, right? So then the ones that are doing more just and social business becoming, competitive enough with the ones that are just doing the usual one.
Yeah, and what is important to mention that the price has a price, and we know it very well from the fast fashion context, right? That of course, we can buy cheap, I don't know, t-shirts, but we know that somewhere in the chain it was, I don't know, people were not treating us as good as in those contexts where we are buying more expensive jeans. We know that materials will not last so long compared to long fashion, right? So it's different things are involved.
Thank you. As we already started having a discussion internally, I would like to also ask to join Dominykas and ask a question to all of you, because as today we discussed how creativity shapes tomorrow, how does it drive innovation and support the design of circular products, services, and solutions, I was wondering about longevity, because it was mentioned maybe a couple of times. And I was wondering if the true value of innovation, circularity, or sustainability lies in longevity. How can we ensure that what we design today becomes a legacy worth preserving rather than a footprint future generations will want to undo? So how to ensure this? Because longevity is a really important value, I believe, not only for sustainability, but also for circularity and its decisions.
Who wants to start?
I can start, but I just came up with an answer, but that might be Dominykas' answer. I love the case that the Norwegians did. Please look it up, Future Library. It's the case that they are commissioning a writer each year to produce a manuscript. But the first year when they started, they planted a forest, and then all those manuscripts will be printed out in 100 years. So each single writer who actually producing the manuscript, probably, well, at least like 60 of them won't see their actual work coming out. And the idea is behind that, of course, that use the resources wisely, right? So if you don't have resources as of today, then it means that probably you should look for an opportunity to do something differently. So basically that I think we need to focus on the ethics of using things and how they are being produced and then later on, of course, how they are being disposed or where they end up in the world.
So I probably would proceed with this sentiment aspect to everything what we are doing, and our relationship with the things, and in comparison or in combination with technology, because technology or technologies, some kind of technologies, especially the digital ones or no IT ones, they are not lasting long, right? And the promise is that they will solve some particular issues, as for example, I don't know, smart houses, right? And that at the end of the day, we see that the dumb house is maybe even better compared to the smart one, right? It depends where technology and what kind of technology was involved. So yeah, my point, to maybe just look or to have this criteria, what kind of technology and where and what amount we should involve, for keeping in mind that it needs to last. And for example, one example, I do have a leash, a dog leash, and it lasts longer than my dog. And yeah, it was interesting for me to recognize that and to understand, and that and to put in comparison for for a human being, that some thing could last longer than we, and it may be one of the main criteria how we should think about all the surroundings, what we are doing, and how we are making our decisions. Yeah.
Dominykas, maybe you have a say?
Yeah, I can add a little bit. So one thing is, I think you just need to release a little bit of pressure on yourselves. One thing, I mean, you cannot create anything without, collapsing something. I mean, I remember what my philosophy professor used to say, a simple thing: you cannot make an omelet, without breaking eggs. So it is obvious that whatever will be created, we cannot foresee all the outcomes, all the impact that are possible. But it doesn't mean that you do not have to pursue or do things. So sometimes overthinking is also like not that good. That one part, but I'm not saying that by saying that you need to think about the context, the impact, obviously, but there will be side effects that you cannot foresee, and there will be the impact that you don't want to have. It is obvious. And I think with a lot of social initiatives and NGOs, there's a challenge that they overthink the worst outcomes or the side effects which are negative, and then they don't move with any actions and not find the solutions that could be applied and do good, let's say good, or whatever that is. So that's one thing. So just don't be discouraged by that something will have a negative impact, even if it's a small one. It shouldn't discourage you from moving forward. That's one thing. And then the other is that I think just having that picture of, in general, that there are two kind of games that we play. And maybe you know that theory where it's like finite games and infinite games. So finite games are like a chess game that you have that it has the end. So you play it to win. Basically, it has a time frame. And infinite games are that you want it to last, like friendship. So if you play a game of chess with a friend, you want to win a chess game, but for you it's more important to have to continue with the friendship. So infinite games are more important than finite games. So if you focus like that when you work on the project or whatever, that there's some kind of infinite game that you want to last. So sometimes losing the finite games is good enough if it serves for the infinite game. So if you want to do good for the community, maybe and you want to make, I don't know, a table there, you can use a certain wood for the table for the community to be, part of it, like reuse it, whatever, take it from somewhere else, but just not to be discouraged by the focus on the infinite game improving the community life or something like that. So yeah, so that's just 2 points, like a few cents from my side, what Žemartas and Jonas added.
I will add additional, because I see one of the comments, which is in the context of this question, that ethics and business, they do not coexist, and I think that this approach is the one which is creating a conflict, keeping in mind that this one suggesting that we need to do a revolution, right? And we all know that revolution, of course, it might happen, but it might how to say, it needs more resources, it needs more effort, and it's not organic way of doing things. And the business aspect, because when we are talking about circular economy, it's still economy, and businesses, they do recognize it as a competitive advantage, by going this way. And if it will be not profitable, it will not go, it will not work, simple as that. There will be no motive to do so, to create those solutions, because why? How it would be funded, and it's not sustainable for in wide how to say, wider term of that. So we need to find the solutions which are coexisting. No, ethics and businesses are coexisting. Otherwise, it's no go.
Thank you. And then I see a raised hand by Mandela. So Mandela, maybe you have a remark, comment, or a question, please.
Yes, I actually have a question, and my question is, how do businesses manage to measure the rate of or the percentage of sustainability of their products or maybe service which they offer?
Thank you for the question.
Second question follows as, how can consumer manage to know if maybe they have been blackfamed by maybe whatever percentage has been scored by businesses based on their sustainability processes?
Thank you. Žemartas?
Yeah, I can start. So there are, what I mentioned, the policies that are in place, giving them tools. So, for instance, life cycle assessment, right? So if a business have evaluated their product or service in a life cycle assessment, it means how they get from raw material till the end of the product, so on their hands, right? So that could be used as a evaluation. Also, a new thing on the social economy is the transparency, how like people so basically people are making the whole their economic chain transparent and open. So for instance, if I am making a coffee, grounding here in Lithuania, but I'm buying for sure my coffee beans somewhere in South America or elsewhere, then I basically open up the whole chain. Like this is called like open accountancy. So I demonstrate how much I pay for those farmers in South America, and then how much is the shipping, how much is the grounding beans, how much is the roasting, and then what is the final price. So I demonstrate the profit margin on my coffee bean basically, and how the price became from cents to the euros basically. So there are ways to, I think, to demonstrate. They are different ones, but there are, established ones that are already there as tools, basically. you can count everything. That's horrifying part as well. I don't know, at least for me sometimes.
And you need to show that. Again, with the fashion examples, there are fashion brands who are showing where those garments were produced, what in which particular factory in China, how many people are working, the gender percentage, men, women, and etc. Because it is important for the brand, and they are showing this information. This is coming back to the communication aspect. If you wouldn't show it, wouldn't say that, the consumers and users wouldn't know. They wouldn't know if it's a criteria how I should think about the clothes. And maybe it would lead to the solution that instead of buying 14 t-shirts every 2 weeks, I will buy 2, but better made, and they will last longer and without any damage to the social and ecological environment.
Yeah, thank you. We're almost out of time, but Mandela, maybe you would like to make a remark? Yeah, please.
Yes, one last remark as regard to the response, because I believe for businesses to actually portray a high rate of sustainability, they have to focus on maybe their pricing as well, because a lot of businesses nowadays rank themselves at a very high percentage based on sustainability, but the pricing level isn't accurate. So I just saw a comment. I also saw someone commented in regards to the pricing, if maybe geographical locations are being considered in sustainable pricing for businesses. So I don't know how they manage to come up with a calculation to overcome this.
Thank you.
If I may react, Mandela, you would get a Nobel Prize for this. I wish you could come up with the solution for that, but if I understood your comment correctly, that would be amazing. We are working, we are in the global market, but somehow it's not so global, right? And we have some, not so fair deals in the global market. So yeah, I think if you solve this, you will get the Nobel Prize.
Thank you. Unfortunately, on this sad note, or maybe happy note, we have to end our session because we are out of time. So as the last thing, I would like to ask you to share your final thoughts or remarks in the chat in case you have any. And then I would like to promote our next event very shortly and very quickly. Yes, so the next time we have our event on March 24th at 1 o'clock CET. It will be an online session. So the format is a bit different. It's going to be more like a lecture format meeting where we will discuss green skills in practice, from sustainable education to sustainable business. We will discuss these 2 topics, so please stay tuned. And I would like to thank you all, firstly, our speakers, presenters, for joining the session, and also our participants for joining this international panel. Hopefully, this has been valuable for you and you will manage to apply some thoughts in the future. So thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Brian.